Subscribers, nice quick video for everybody today. I only have a few verses to read through, but this is very important. Now, in like 2,000 years, or even more, counting from the book of Daniel, right? People have wondered about Daniel's prophecy about calculating the end days, right? And like I've shown in many videos on my channel, and other people out there in the world, but not many, have realized that the Dome of the Rock of Islam is the abomination Daniel spoke of that will be built on the Temple Mount. This goes without question, without argument. There is no other solution to the prophecy. Now, the Dome of the Rock was built in 688 AD. Now, 1260 years later precisely came 1948 when the Jews got Israel back from Islam, from the reign of Islam. That is a perfect fulfillment of Daniel's prophecy, right? And because I got videos on that, I'm not reading through all the chapters to prove that again. That it just simply is. Nobody can argue with it. Every other solution people have come up with is not right. Okay, it's the Dome of the Rock. That is the abomination built on the Temple Mount. 1260 years, and then the Jews got Israel back. Okay, now 1948. That would mark the time period in which there's a final 5 years, like Daniel says, to bring you to the 1335, which is the end days. That makes 2022, 2023. Might be any point during 2022, might be the start of 2023. I don't really care. It's close enough, right? Um, I want it to happen soon. I would like redemption and all that, and everybody be saved soon rather than later. But anyways, that's the 1260 that Daniel spoke about. I've already made videos covering all these verses separately, but I made an astounding find last night which backed up and proved everything concretely. So there's literally no room for argument here now. Absolutely at all. Islam was and is the final beast kingdom. It goes without question. Now, if you read Daniel 12, it's referencing the 1260 years I spoke about. Okay, in verse 7, after a time, times and a half, and at the completion of the scattering of the power of the holy people, finished are all these. And then Daniel asks, "Oh my Lord, what is the latter end of these?" And he goes on to 1335. Okay, so this is how it all goes. But there's certain conditions that are laid down here. It says, after the scattering of the power of the holy people. That's one of the conditions, right? The people had to be scattered. We also had another condition of the abomination had to be built. Okay? Long story short, Israel fell in like 70 AD. There was many hundreds of years where nothing really transpired. That was the desolation. The scattering of the holy people occurred in 70 AD, and there was still some left there. The scattering occurred over a broader spectrum of time. So for hundreds of years, there was desolation. There had been, and there was still scattering. Okay? In 688, we had the abomination built on the Temple Mount. Okay, so there you have everything Daniel foretold coming true in history. 1260 years later, Jews got Israel back. Okay, boom. Then we have the final 75 years, okay, like I've spoken about already. Okay, so that's everything mapped out on that timeline from Daniel 12. Okay, but how can I further prove that Islam was the beast kingdom? Because that's all relevant here, right? The Dome of the Rock is the emblem of the beast kingdom. Okay, now if we go over to Daniel 7, it says in verse 23, it says, "Thus he said, the fourth beast, Islam, is the fourth kingdom in the earth, that is diverse, meaning different from all the kingdoms before it. And it consumeth all the earth, and treadeth it down, and breaketh it small. And the 10 horns out of the kingdom are 10 kings. They arise, and another does arise after them, and it is diverse from the former, and 3 kings it humbleth. And words as an adversary of the Most High it does speak, and the saints of the Most High it does wear out, and it hopeth to change seasons and law, and they are given into its hand, till a time, times, and a division of time. And the judge is seated, and its dominion they cause to pass away, to cut off and to destroy unto the end." So again, here we have in Daniel 7 another confirmation that it's 3.5 times, which is 1260 years. Now, what's amazing here from Daniel 7 is it talks about the 10 kings. Now, for a while now, I haven't been able to, because I didn't go out of my way to do hours and hours of research to try and prove it. Just based on everything I had found so far, like I just talked about, I was pretty convinced Islam was the final beast kingdom, plus a lot of other New Testament stuff with the mark of the beast, the false prophet, the lamb-like false prophet and all that, right? A lot of reason to believe it anyways, but I wanted extra proof. I wanted this to be a bucket with no holes in it, right? Nobody could poke a hole in it. Okay? So what I looked at last night was I want to find out and link the 10 kings, those 10 horns, and the 11th to Islam. Well, long story short, saving all the fluff. Obviously, the kings of Islam are the caliphs. Okay? What I found astonishing, okay, because it connects everything, proves everything here, absolutely proves everything. What I found astonishing is that if you go look at a historical list of the caliphs, okay, you literally had, I counted them. Faith told me the 11th one would be the one who built the Dome of the Rock and all that. If you count the caliphs, okay, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 caliphs before the 11th caliph, who was, sorry, my computer's freezing. The 11th caliph, who was Al-Walid the First, or whatever, right? Now, he was the one, okay, who got the Dome of the Rock built and the other Muslim monuments, okay? Al-Walid the First, the 11th caliph. Now, if we go back and look, and considering, like I said, that the Dome of the Rock is the abomination, right, that chapter 12 spoke about, and whatever the other chapters spoke about, right? Considering that, and considering that only Islam could be the fourth beast kingdom, because it's not like Greece or Rome. It already said that, right? I'm not giving a whole discourse in Islam again here, right? But it says here that there will be 10 kings, and then another does rise after them. That's the 11th, okay? And what does it do? It's given into its hand for a time, times, and division of time. Why is that so important? Because it's saying that the 11th king of this beast nation, and I'm saying that is the 11th caliph of Islam, that this one is perfectly aligned with the 1260-year period which was prescribed for the abomination on the Temple Mount. We know that 1260 years goes from a Dome of the Rock to 1948 when the Jews got Israel back from Islam. That perfectly fits right here with Daniel 7:25, meaning that the 11th caliph who would build the abomination, okay, it fits right there in the time. So there's no other way. Nobody could say that this is wrong. That concretes it in there. Okay, if it didn't list off 10 kings and specify the 11th, then there'd be less connection here. But this is it. It's triangulated. Okay, it's concreted in. Islam was and is the final beast kingdom. Okay, their founding prophet was the lamb-like beast. Okay, the mark of 666, the mark of the devil, is the Bismillah, which is exactly how John wrote it in the Greek text, the 3 different symbols. And in Islam, they literally put it on their right hand or on their forehead. Okay, and the Bismillah means to swear in the name of Allah as your God. That is utter, perfect fulfillment of the scriptures. And for anybody, Jew or Christian, or anybody to say, oh, it's not Islam, you don't know what you're talking about. You really don't. There's zero evidence for anything else that anybody has ever suggested in 2,000 plus years. All of this evidence fits perfectly. Okay? And thanks to this 11th king thing mentioned in Daniel 7:25, we can see that is like the second witness, the second confirmation that triangulates and concretes in that period of time, okay, with the Dome of the Rock. So bringing this back over to the New Testament, we could see here that in Revelation 11 verse 2, it says here, and the court that is without the sanctuary leave out, and thou mayest not measure it, because it was given to the nations in the holy city. They shall tread down 42 months. 42 months equals 3.5 times, which equals 1260 years. The 1260-year period in reference here is the exact same 1260-year period that's been twice mentioned already. In this 1260-year period, the Jewish people were being conquered again by Islam. Any Jews that had come back to Israel who weren't scattered yet were either enslaved or whatever, or forcefully converted, or had to pay jizya tax, or they then fled. You know what I mean? In that 1260-year period, all the neighboring nations historically went to battle. Okay, all of these prophecies came true. The nations did trample Israel for those 1260 years. Okay, so we see Revelation 11 confirms this as well. Then we go to Revelation 13, verse 3, talking about the beast kingdom, Islam. It says, I saw one of its heads as slain to death, and its deadly stroke was healed, and all the earth did wonder after the beast. I wondered, while clicking start on this video, what if that verse is actually talking about their founding prophet, because he died, his death and all that he's talked about in Daniel's chapters as well. I cover that in other videos if I still, actually no, I took them down. But I'm not getting into that here for time restraint. Um, but I wondered, just as I went to click play on this video, what if verse 3 here is actually talking about um, their founding prophet as the one who died and his stroke was healed? It's not that he came back to life, right? Unless there's some demonic principle to it, but it could just be like politically he died, but because he was the founder of that spiritual nation and religion and its doctrine and everything, right? All of the caliphs who followed him followed in his footsteps. They followed him politically, as a nation, and religiously. Okay? So I think it would be fair to say, it just popped into my head, but that could actually be I'm talking about him. But who cares? I'm here about numbers, right? So it says in verse 4, and they did bow before the dragon, Satan, who did give authority to the beast, Islam, and they did bow before the beast, saying, who is like to the beast, who is able to war with it? And there was given to it a mouth speaking great things and evil speakings, and there was given to it authority to make war 42 months. Again, when Islam conquered Israel in like 632 AD, okay, the caliphs were starting to get set up. Abu Bakr was the one who besieged Israel and conquered it, okay? But it was Caliph, the one I already mentioned, the 11th Caliph, who got the Dome of the Rock built, the ultimate desecration on the Temple Mount. Nothing ever like it had ever been built before. No statue, no pig sacrifice. That doesn't even count compared to wiping out the remains of the temple and building up a temple to Satan on the Temple Mount. Okay, nothing can compare to that. Okay, and again we see 42 months here. So we know that the nation, all the ways you confirm this, Daniel 12 said to be 1260 years from the abomination to the end of those wonders. That's confirmed with history, like I already said. Then you had Daniel 7 saying it would be the 11th Caliph, who falls into that time span, meaning the 11th Caliph will be the one who built the abomination on the Temple Mount. As we've seen, that was confirmed. Then we see for 1260 years, the same period of time again, the nations would trample Israel. That was historically confirmed in the same time period. Okay, and then we heard Revelation 13 here saying that the beast itself, Islam, right, would make war for the 1260 years, which it also did. Okay, so all of these are confirmed so far. Then we go over to Revelation 12, verse 5. It's talking about when Jesus died, 29 AD. He rose up. In the period of time that will go by after that, okay, which leads into the 1260-year period that I'm talking about. It says, she brought forth a male child is about to rule all the nations with a rod of iron, and caught away was her child unto God in his throne. And the woman did flee to the wilderness. This is Israel, meaning the Jewish people and the Christians and all them. They fled to the wilderness, scattered, the scattering of the holy ones, like it said, as a condition, where she is a place made ready from God, that there they may nourish her days 1,260. That's 1,260 years. Okay? And then further confirming it, lower down in Revelation 12, it says, and when the dragon saw that he was cast forth to the earth, he pursued the woman who did bring forth the male, and they were given to the woman 2 wings of the great eagle, that she may fly to the wilderness. This is the scattering, where they are scattered away to be protected from the devil there, to her place where she is nourished a time, times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. That right there in Revelation 12 shows you that 3.5 times is equal to the other verse in Revelation 12, because it's talking about the same period of time. So it says 3.5 times in verse 14, and it says 1260 years in the other one. That's how you know that a time is 360. That's where you get the calculation from. And I'm not the only person to say this. Lots of other people have said it as well. But it's inarguable, right? Nobody can argue this. It's so concreted in, it's not even funny. I've lost track. There was like 6 different angles this is confirmed from. So that's that. Okay? Islam was the final beast. It did everything that the beast kingdom was said that it was going to do. Everything that the beast kingdom was said to do, Islam did do. Even beheading the Jews and Christians, forcing them to convert, all of that came true. Even the caliphs who built the Dome of the Rock, they made currency with the Bismillah, the 666 on it. You couldn't buy or sell anything without it. Everything historically came true. Okay? Daniel's prophecy said that even when the world kingdom, the global superpower of evil of Islam would be ended, it says that they would still continue in the toes until the very end of the days. So even though Islam's global empire dwindled down in the last couple centuries or whatever, it officially ended its rule over the Holy Land in 1948, right? Its dominion over the Holy Land in 1948. The toes, we're in the toes right now, the final generation, okay? So no matter how you look at it, there is not one angle anybody could pull out somewhere to disprove anything that I've said here. Absolutely nothing. This is it. We're looking at absolute concrete proof okay, that the end is next year, during next year, or at the end of next year, or maybe at worst, some point during 2023. Okay, quite simply, that's it. We all have to get ready. We all have to prepare. I mean, there's only one place in the Bible where he gives a calculation, like verbatim. This is a calculation to calculate the end days. No one will be able to solve it until the end days are approaching. Okay, nobody could crack this prophecy until at least 1948, because then no one could draw the connection between the Dome of the Rock in 1948 and the 1260 period. So at any point before 1948, you would not be able to crack this prophecy. It could only happen after 1948. And dare I say, even after 1948, you would still have to wait probably a few decades to really actually be able to gauge what's actually going on. Okay, so truly, it's only in the final generation people would understand. People understand now. People really need to spread this message, because this is the single best evidence for when the end is coming. There is no other greater evidence. There's no other parallel. There's nothing equal to it. This is the biblical proof from God. Okay? And the end is coming, and that's that. All right? So everybody has to reform. Get ready now, because it's coming. And don't say I didn't warn you. Please help spread this video. It's really depressing seeing 50 people watch all these videos that I make. I want to see thousands and thousands. I'm not monetized. I don't make money from it, right? But I mean, for heaven's sake, I have this God-given opportunity to use a free platform to share this information to the world. I would really be irritated if only a couple dozen people saw it, right? The world needs to hear this information, okay? Get it out there. Help share my video. You know what I mean? I'm the one who made these discoveries and put them all together. You know what I mean? Give me some credit for it, at least, verbal credit. And get this message out here, man, because nothing will convince anybody. This will. This is it. This might even cause a billion Muslims to convert away once they see all this hard truth about their own religion. Okay? And it could save a billion souls. You know what I mean? From getting the mark of the beast without exchange when the end days arrive. Okay? So please prepare, folks. Please take this seriously. And last, before I go, if it is true that there is 6,000 years for man, then that also acts as like a seventh or eighth or whatever it is pillar to concrete this in, because as I showed in another video of mine, I mapped out from Adam's creation all the way up until now every single date and number given in the Bible, and I mapped it all out, the chronology of it, and quite clearly it explicitly shows. I mean, the Bible stopped being written in like 400 or whatever BC with Malachi, and from there you have to tie it into known recorded history, which is actually quite conveniently easy to do somewhat, because we have well documented history up until that point. Okay, and as I showed in that video, with again no room for argument, okay, 6,000 years have already transpired. We're actually in year 5998 or 5999 right now. So even using that totally different, completely alien concept, this mythical legend of 6,000 year prophecy, right, for mankind, even if that was real, it still concretely proves this and pinpoints this to the very same year. Okay? Adam wasn't the first son of man. He wasn't the son of man. Seth was the first son of man. Adam was created by God. He wasn't born from a woman. A son of man is one who's born from a woman. Seth was the first born from a woman. He was the first son of man. Arguably, Abel came before him. However, Abel was killed. He couldn't create the lineage, the biblical lineage. Seth did. Seth was therefore regarded as the first son of man, biblically, not according to me. Humans are called Sethites in the Bible. And anyways, it's not my opinion. It's biblical. When you count from Seth, it's exactly 6,000, like I said. If you count from Adam's creation, because he's not the first son of man, it's 6,130 or whatever it is. Okay? Adam was 130 or whatever when he had Seth. Count from Seth, the first son of man, bump all the way up. You get exactly 6,000 at 2022, 2023. Okay? How much more proof do we need? How much more proof do we need? You know what I mean? This is it. No matter how you look at it, this is it. Anyways, God bless you all, folks.